You win tomorrow, no one cares about LeBron. You won't hear about Houston, James Harden. What you're going to hear about is Donnie Christian shocking the world for a week. We're undefeated here in Kentucky, right? We're going to keep it like that.
What's up, guys? It's Coach Nick. I'm doing another Julian Newman video because I feel like when I did my last video, I didn't really do enough research to post a video about Julian Newman, which a lot of you guys mentioned in the comment section. So shout out to all my boys out there who were more than willing to share their honest opinion with me because it really helped in making this video. So if you left me a comment in my last Julian Newman video, which is posted here, then I'm probably going to address it in this video because I think it probably needs to be addressed. So I went through and I watched, my goal for this video was to watch 4 or 5 full games of Julian Newman playing basketball. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it as much as I wanted to. I just couldn't do it. I can't stand to watch Prodigy Prep play. Unfortunately, I don't like the way they run the basketball. I don't like how their players play. And I think, especially because I was focusing on Newman for this video, I found it extraordinarily frustrating just to watch and focus on Newman play because he does so many things that, from my perspective, someone who's played basketball for over 30 years now, just frustrate the living hell out of me. Like, I watch it, I'm like, dude, come on, bro. And I think the thing that sticks out in my mind more so than anything is probably Julian's defense or lack thereof. I mean, not even his attitude. Like in the games that I watched, he didn't really have too much of an attitudinal problem. I know that's highlighted in some of his highlight films, but in the games I watched, I didn't really see a lot of bitching or whining from Julian. But what I saw was just lackadaisical defense. I'm talking about times when Julian just has his back to the offense. And I thought to myself, okay, the first game this happened, right? I was setting aside a bunch of clips in Final Cut Pro and I was color coding them. And I would color code them based on what Julian was doing. So like if he took a 3-point shot, I'd have a certain color code for that. If he was playing bad defense, I had a certain color code for that. And when I got done with this first game, and I don't feel like I was nitpicking, like I wasn't sitting there like, okay, what can I really pull out of this game from Julian Newman? I wasn't doing that at all. I was just kind of casually watching the game. I was like, bro, this guy never plays freaking defense. And I don't even have to go back and find a clip. We could just go and I could just randomly pick one of his defensive clips. And I can almost assure you probably like 70 to 80% of the time, I pick that clip because he has his back turned to the defense and he doesn't know where to be in the game when he's playing defense. And usually their team was either playing like a 1-2-2 or a 2-3 zone. And he would just stand there. I'm talking like literally just stand there, not doing anything, not boxing out, not doing anything. I can't tell you how many times I would see like a player run by him, a big player, and I'm like, dude, you need to throw a forearm up into him, make him go around you, put your butt into him. And Julian just didn't do that. So I think that's why it was really frustrating for me to watch his game. So a caveat here is this, all right? I watched probably 2.5 of his games, 2.5 full games of Julian Newman. There was probably 3 or 4 others that I wanted to see or that I was initially planning on seeing, but like I said, I couldn't do it. So just to let you guys know, my opinion is based off of watching 2.5 games, fairly recent games within like the last year or two of Julian Newman, so I feel like they're fairly fresh, and you boys were on point. Shout out to Chris Milliman for letting me know that Max Preps is a little off. I'm gonna throw your quote up here because I think it's kind of important. And you're right. And someone else, who else was it? Someone else put something here. Okay, Josh Colbert, you said Max Prep boosts stats. I don't know if that's true or not. What I will say is after just kind of looking over Max Prep's site, I think what they do is they just report the numbers that coaches are giving to them. And let's be honest, boys, if your dad's the coach and he's the one doing the stats and he's the one putting out the numbers, what do you think he's doing for Max Preps, right? He's giving them numbers that are just completely inflated. And even after watching these games, I looked at that purported 50% from the 3-point line that Max Prep shows for Julian. Yeah, I looked at that and I can't tell you, like I saw so many clips, I have so much footage of Julian just bricking 3-point after 3-point after 3-point. And these aren't me cherry picking clips. I mean, this is me just going through and picking out the clips. I'm like, holy cow, this guy just bricked like 5 in a row. How is that possible? He's a 50% free or a 3-point shooter. How's that possible? And then you talk about his free throws, and I saw him brick 2 free throws in a row. I didn't get a whole lot of clips of him shooting free throws. There was another game that I'm not including in this. I was just watching it on my own time doing something else one day, and he seemed to make a lot of his free throws. I would say he's probably like, I don't know, I would say maybe 85% from the free throw line is more realistic for Newman. It's definitely not the low 90%. And maybe the ones that he bricked in this game, because I think I have maybe 4 clips of him shooting free throws, and I get it. If you get fouled really hard, it might be hard to hit those free throws, so maybe that's why he missed 2 in a row. So I'm just giving a little padding there because, you know, if you've played the game and you've been fouled hard and you're the tiniest guy on the court, it can be hard to make those free throws. So I would say probably maybe 80 to 85% is more realistic. But again, the thing that really sticks out in my mind is just not playing defense.
All right. Looks like he's going to pass it. Yep, he passed it. All right. Okay, there's this guy. He's going to catch it. Yeah, he'll probably come right down the middle here. I think, you know what? I'm going to cut him off. I'm going to take a charge. No, never mind. I'm just going to, let me just back up here a little bit. There we go. I'll just back up.
Jackson was wanting to get the guys out of the game.
Of playing against a team so talented, sometimes you yourself might do something totally out of character like what Maldonado just did. Mellow ball. There we go. Now it's
Taking one in the halftime locker room by that deficit is Harmon. Trying to get it in down low, but he throws it away. And then it's back to Marshall County.
His defense is extraordinarily lacking. If he plays college ball, that shit's not going to fly. I mean, you look at college players and they play defense like they play defense. They get up on people. They always have a hand on their hip. They're smacking people. It's a physical game. And I don't know about you guys, but when I played basketball, I took pride in my defense. And that's why I found it so hard to watch Julian's game. He has absolutely, positively no pride in his defense. He would rather score 3 buckets than he would prevent a player from scoring 3 buckets. And I don't know who all my viewers are out there, but when I played ball, like, dude, if I had a 0-point game, fine, whatever, that's great. But if I took their top player who was a 20-point scorer, and now all of a sudden he has 4 points in the 4th quarter, and none of those points were scoring while I was defending him, I felt pretty damn good. And Julian just does not have that attitude. And so if I were a collegiate coach, I would be like, I don't want this guy on my team. He would at least need to prove to me that he's willing to play defense. Because if you're not willing to play defense, you really don't belong in college ball. And if you don't think defense is important, I mean, I think that's one reason why, like in college, you can have a player who is scoring 20, 30 points in high school, and all of a sudden he gets to college and he's maybe averaging 4 to 6 points, because in college they play defense. And I hate to say it, but there's very few players that I've watched just watching random high school highlights or even games where I'm like, yeah, this dude knows how to play defense. The first one who pops to my mind is, I think his name is James Akinjo or Akimbo. I'm probably messing up his name. He plays for Georgetown, or at least played like last year with Matt McClung. That dude in high school played defense. I watch him play and I'm like, yeah, you're getting coached, man. You know what you're doing. He plays defense. So I watch Julian, there's just no defense there. So aside from his defense, let's talk about his 3-point shot. If I were to break it up, first I would just talk about his selection of shots. Julian just comes down, and the same with Maldonado. I mean, Maldonado's a pretty damn good player. I would take him. I'd say he's a solid D1, potentially D1 player. Not top tier D1, maybe like lower mid-tier D1. I would put Maldonado. Maldonado, sometimes his shot collection can be a little iffy, but Julian, man, he just comes down, it's like, and he busts these threes from this range that's insane. And I would say, after looking at his numbers, we can look at his numbers from the 2 games that I'm talking about, but he's like averaging 25 to 30%, nowhere near that 50% that his dad is reporting to Max Preps. And if we had a 4-point line, I think Julian could be interesting. I think then he'd be a very interesting player, because he probably is like 25 to maybe 33% from the 3-point line, which is abysmal, but given his range, given the range that he takes his shot, I don't think that percentage is horrible. Like, I know if I went out there and I shot those, I would probably be right around the same percentage shooting with the range he does. So 25 to 33% isn't horrible with that kind of range. If there was a 4-point line that was like 2 or 3 feet back from the NBA line, then I'd say his shot would be competitive. Because let's say he's shooting 25%, right? And you have a 4-pointer. That means if you shoot 10 baskets, that would be like what, 2.5 shots? So that'd be 8 points plus 2. That'd be like 10 points. I think I might be messing up the math, but that would be 10 points, right? Which would be the same as if you were a 50% field goal shooter. So I think that would be all right. But the way I'm seeing now, there's not a 4-point line. Unfortunately, there's not a 4-point line. So because there's not a 4-point line, I would say the shots he's taken are just way too far. And not only that, they just they don't go in. They don't go in. And then let's talk about something else. So if you watch, like there's a certain type of basketball where I think it's acceptable to come down the court and just throw up 3-pointers, but it takes a specific team. It kind of takes a little bit of a setup, and Prodigy Prep just doesn't have it. If you watch old school Chino ball, not really that old school, but like when the Ball brothers were all playing, they would come down and they would just huck up shots. I mean, it's like, just, I'm gonna be straight up honest, there were some ugly ass shots, but guess what happened? A lot of the times they were getting rebounds, so they could shoot up 3 or 4 ugly shots and then eventually one of them went in. But if you have a team that's extraordinarily athetic and that has a really good presence for rebounding, then you can get away with that. Unfortunately, Prodigy Prep just doesn't have that. There's one guy, I don't know his name, he's a decent big man, but he's not like a legit big man. He's not huge and he's not ungainly athletic, right? He's just I would say a slightly above average big man with some decent footwork, but he doesn't have the size to pull in a lot of rebounds. And Prodigy Prep just doesn't have the setup to be coming down and just throwing up 3-pointers. Another thing that I see with Newman is there's no setup. Rarely with Prodigy Prep do they set anything up. There's no movement. And so when you come down, you just do this fancy dribbling and then you shoot the ball. Everyone on defense knows you're about to shoot the ball. It's easy for them to find someone to box out. More than likely, they're the ones who's going to be getting the rebound. So it's just a one shot and then it's done. It's almost as bad as a turnover when you're shooting 25%. Not as bad, but it's getting there, right? You might as well just hand them the ball and say, hey, bring it down the court, because we're probably not going to make this shot, and we're certainly not going to get the rebound. So that's another issue I have with his 3-pointer. So we have his shot selection, poor shot selection. He doesn't take his shot at the right time, and his shot just doesn't really go in. Those are like my 3 big beefs with Julian Newman's 3-point shot. Then let's talk about his field goal percentage. 2 of these games, Julian Newman has, I don't know what it is. It's like 15 or 20% from the field goal, maybe even lower. I think there's one game where he didn't even make a field goal. That's how bad his field goal percentage was. So it's weird to me to see a shooter who has a higher 3-point percentage than they do a field goal percentage. So one of the issues I'm seeing with Julian's play is when he drives in, he likes to either go hard for a layup amongst a tree of big men, which I covered in my other video, so I'm not going to talk about that much here, or he likes to shoot a floater. And floaters and runners are awesome. I'm a big fan of them, but they're incredibly difficult shots to hit, which is why you don't see them done that often. You don't see floaters happen that much in the college setting, because you don't even see floaters happen a ton in NBA because they're very hard to hit. But like if you can nail them like a Steph Curry or something like that, they're a great shot, but they take a ton of practice. And unfortunately, in Newman's case, he doesn't have the floater that's going in. So if you're not going to shoot a floater and you're not going to shoot a runner, then the next best thing to shoot is probably a jump shot, a pull-up jumper. So you drive hard, right? And then you just take a jump shot from maybe the free throw line or something like that. And although Julian does have a jump shot, he rarely ever uses it, and it's not that pretty, and I doubt it really much goes in. And he doesn't have an incredible vertical leap, which makes it a little more difficult, in my opinion, to have a nice jump shot. So there's some issues with his field goal percentage, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that other than that his field goal percentage sucks, man. It's very, very low, and I think that's where the pull-up jumper would help him. I think it could help increase his overall field goal percentage if he was willing to have a pull-up jumper as opposed to trying to make those really hard runners. So we've covered his 3-point shot, we've covered his field goals. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about when it comes to Newman. We've covered his defense, and like I said, to me, that's the most glaringly obvious and frustrating thing about his game that really needs improvement. Let me scroll. I'm gonna scroll through some of these other comments here left by you guys and just see if there's. Yeah, shout out to JCEEG for letting me know that he doesn't shoot anywhere near 50%. You're straight on point, dude. And after running these numbers, I would say it's definitely more like 25 to 30% from the 3-point line. This guy thinks he's D2, low D1. I can see that. Shout out to Roger the Bull. You're saying the same thing, bro. You ever watched his full games? No, I hadn't at that time. Those stats are clearly inflated. They truly are. Yeah, don't watch his highlights. Yeah, brother, I feel you. Definitely don't watch this. And that's the thing. I think that's what confused me is he has so many highlight vids out there that I just thought, like, there's no way you could have that many clips and have such a low percentage. But the reality is I was completely wrong. So, and there's definitely sometimes too, I don't want to say Julian's a bad player. He's certainly not. He's just overhyped, he's inflated. And when you watch the full game, I didn't walk away with the impression like, damn, this is a good player. This is someone I would want on my team. I walked away with the impression like, okay, He's got a decent three-point shot. He's got some free throws, but there's a lot of improvement here. And if I were a coach, I would be very hesitant to have him on my team. If I coach D3, I'd be like, yeah, let me pick this boy up. But if I was like D2 or D1, I would be very reserved. I'd be very reserved to have Julian on my team. Dania Brown said he shoots a three-point line because he knows he can't shoot a layup because people will block him. Yeah, I would agree with you on that a lot. He either he gets blocked most of the time when he goes up for his field goals, or he gets a little bit of fouled, or he gets fouled a little bit of a foul. He gets fouled a little bit, but they don't really call it because he's so tiny and it's not enough contact to maybe call the foul. And then he just kind of hucks something up. So yeah, dude, I think you're spot on there. T1 Up talks about parenting. And I mean, I don't want to go into psychoanalyzing anybody or trying to understand his dad, because the reality is, like, unless you're them and you're really in their situation, you don't know what's going on. But yeah, I would be kind of curious to see what is happening from a parental side of things. And I will say this, from the games that I watch, my God, his dad just yells from the sideline.
Come on, man, box out! You don't see on the court! Catch his line! No! The whole word saying stop going deep! Stop! Shut the f*** up! No one's talking to you!
It's this crazy, whiny, bitching, yelling. Like, dude, if I were those refs, I would have told him to shut the fuck up. Like, you need to shut up, is what I would have said, because I'm trying to ref this game, and I can't have you yelling. And I would have said, you do it again, you're done. I'm kicking you out of this game. I would have been straight up with it. Dude, there's a ref there, and I feel for this guy. I was like, how could you stand, especially, like, there's certain tones and voices and inflections that I think get to us all. And Jamie Newman has one of those tones. Just, oh, it's just, God, just, that's another reason I couldn't watch I had to turn off the volume just to watch the rest of the game. And I'll tell you this much, when it comes to coaches screaming and stuff like that, I'm not a big fan of that whatsoever. When I was in elementary school, I had I'm not kidding, this is elementary school. I had this coach who was an attorney, very type A personality. And this guy would just fucking yell at us in the games. He would scream and holler. And I was by far the best player on that team, and he was still giving me a ton of flack. And it definitely, I felt like that, I don't want to,
never again, man.
I'd say it kind of like hurt my self-esteem, but it made me sad. And it made me kind of question myself. And these questions should have never rose in the first place when it came to my game. The guy was just a punk, and he had a kid on the team. And anytime you have a dad coaching a kid, or a dad coaching a son, I feel like the politics of the whole thing mess everything up. And if you need to yell at a player, do it off the court, but don't do it in a humiliating way in front of an entire stand of people, in front of an audience. I just think that's completely disrespectful and should not be done. You need to do it in a calmer fashion. You need to wait till everyone's emotions are simmered down. You need to do it like when you have film. Watch film with your player, bring them back and say, hey, look, this is what I'm seeing on the court. What can we do to improve it? That's what you should be doing, not screaming at the player. Like, this dude's yelling at people to make a free throw, make your free throw. Like, dude, what is yelling at someone to make a free throw? How does that help them make a free throw? You're not all of a sudden gonna make a shot because, oh, my coach is yelling. Like, this guy, I'm trying hard not to just lose my shit on Jamie Newman, because I don't know what this dude's issue is, and I don't know much about him, and so I'm really trying not to have an opinion from the small amount of information that I do have about him. But from what I've seen, my initial impression is just not very favorable whatsoever of this man. And the fact that you're just gonna scream at your players like that, dude, I want to shake him. Just shake the mother. I'm getting a little heated, boys. So let's see what else we got here. My sister says, so fast to hate and agree on the internet. Language. Children are listening. Watch your fucking language. But there is a thing. I'm probably going to bleep out all the cuss words in this. Not because I love to cuss, but YouTube has this thing where they may not have people advertise and sponsor on your
Americans
videos.
Are cursing today more than ever before.
So I'm just going to have to bleep it out. That's what Caribou Lou says. Why don't we cut out with the censors? How old are you, 7? I got you, bro. I got you. Skittles, he's good, but his attitude and that he plays like a ball hog is a problem. Yeah, I agree, dude. He is a ball hog. And that's the thing. Like, when you come down the court and you just dribble as much as Newman does, and then you just shoot the ball, like, I don't know, dude. I don't even know what to say about that. Like, what do you say about that? There's no movement whatsoever. I have a few clips where Prodigy Prep makes some very, very good ball movement, right? And then they shoot it, and I think they even make it. I'm like, dude, that's what basketball's supposed to look like. That is what basketball is supposed to look like. But yeah, it's frustrating. And then what happens, like, so let's say, boys, that we're playing on Newman's team and we ourselves want to get buckets and we think we're a good player. What happens when we finally get the ball? What happens when Julian Newman finally passes us the ball? Well, now, instead of maybe us waiting for a better opportunity to shoot the ball, we're thinking, damn, dude, I need to make my own play. I need to figure out how I'm going to juke this guy and get pull a shot off, because if I don't, I may not see the ball again because Julian's going to get it and he's going to shoot. So that's the problem with ball hogs, is that they make the rest of the team take worse shots than they otherwise would have. So that's would have. That's my issue with Julian. Nathaniel Reed, your channel got recommended to me. Never regretted it since. Thanks, bro. Thanks for showing up. Khalil, that's a cool name. Khalil Asmar. Sure, he will end up a YouTube influencer smoking pot. Smoking pot in between. All right, bro. Nothing wrong with a little weed here and there. That's funny. That's funny. That shit's funny. I think, but bro, to be honest, I think he will be. I mean, he already is an influencer, right? And so we got to give it to Jay. Like, we got to give him that aspect. They might be a weird and dysfunctional family to some degree, but they certainly know how to make it when it comes to the entertainment world. So shout out to my Newman family there. You guys know what you're doing when it comes to entertainment. I don't know what the family dynamics look like, but, and I've watched maybe like a minute or two of their weird Newman show. I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but yeah. And then Bobby Wells just saying, I didn't emphasize the degree to which his father screwed him over.
There he is, you're done, go. Either hot or you not. Calm down, stop going to the corner. Talking about, man? What are you talking about? It's simple, make shots.
And you're saying that he was taught to play for social media, likes, and status, not to win basketball games. And I would say that's a pretty fair deduction looking at his games. I mean, he looks more like an and one baller who's just trying to get a bunch of points. And if that's what you're trying to do, then you got to take the shots, right? So yeah, dude, I think that's Bobby Wells. I think that's a really good point. Oh, okay, the Terrell K. You're talking about turnovers here. And there was one game when he definitely had a few turnovers. Like, I don't know, it was like maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 turnovers, depending on how you're kind of scoring it. And some of them weren't necessarily his fault. It's like maybe his teammate wasn't expecting to pass, which at the same time I can kind of understand because he never does pass the ball. So it's like, well, why would I expect you to pass when you never passed in the first place, right? And then some of the other ones were just blatant turnovers. So yeah, I think that's an issue with him. I think he's probably averaging, I would say probably like anywhere from 3 to 5 turnovers a game, which is not really that acceptable, especially considering that he's not always the point guard. If you're a point guard, you're more likely to turn the ball over because you have the ball in your hands more often. You're dribbling it more so than any other player on the court. But Julian, he plays point like maybe half the time, at least in the games that I've seen. And so like 3 to 5 turnovers, that's a lot of turnovers. That's a ton of turnovers. And then, yeah, you talk about setting up the defense, setting up your teammates, totally on point, bro. There's just none of that going on with him whatsoever. And yeah, shout out, yo, Chris, I got you, bro. I took your advice. All right, I took your advice and I did watch some of his games that are on grind session, full game. So thanks, dude. This guy said, Michelle, you said Julian is 5'5", bro. Shit, I don't really know how tall he is, but he looks tiny as fuck out there. Maybe like, come on, you guys, 5'5". Hey, look, hey, we can. I think he's 5'9". You know why I think he's 5'9"? Jamie said so. That's just funny. That's just funny. He's not even. There's no way Julian's 5'9". Like on a good day, 5'6" with his basketball shoes. Can we just agree with that? 5'6" when he's wearing his high tops. Can we just agree with that? All right. Can we just agree on 5'6"? I know some of my boys out there are like, no, dude, he's like 5'4". It depends on what video you're watching. Like 3 years ago, he's looking super tiny. Props to Julian because he has kind of bulked up a little. He's put some weight on. He's definitely put some weight on. I'd say he's probably put like an inch or 2 on. So Prince Vegeta. Prince Vegeta, he's a great player. People just love seeing the underdogs fail. Great player. I mean, it's obviously this is a subjective term, so we can sit here and debate about what it means to be a great player. I certainly, according to my definition of a great player, to be a great player in my book, number one, your bad day. When you play and you have a bad game, your bad game has to be better than one of your teammates' best games. That's one definition I have of a great player. My second definition, and this is just off the top of my head, bros, but second definition is that if you're going to be a great player, you at least have to play some solid defense. And I'm sorry, but I don't see it from Julian. So I would say I would qualify Julian is a decent player. That's what I would say. What do you think of that, Mr. Prince? What do you think of that, Prince? Go Snow. He's not that bad. Yeah, he's not that bad, but there's a lot of room for improvement. A lot of room for improvement, and he's certainly inflated or overrated, as CCP News and Entertainment here suggested. Oh, and I was scrolling through these comments, and someone's saying that I'm comparing him to Lonzo Ball. Look, you guys, that was a comparison made in isolation. Was it Lonzo Ball? Who's the dude in the NBA? Yeah, Lonzo. I mean, obviously, Julian Newman and Lonzo are not comparable whatsoever, except in that one regard that they both had, I should say, because yes, Lonzo has changed his shot, but prior to him making it to the NBA, he had a goofy looking shot. I mean, there's no question in my mind, he has probably the weirdest shot ever to make it to the NBA. So my point in that comparison is that you don't have to have perfect shot form necessarily to make it to the NBA. But obviously, yeah, Julian doesn't have the other qualifications that Lonzo had. Doesn't have his height, doesn't have his athleticism, doesn't have his court sense, doesn't have the way that he sees the court like Lonzo does, doesn't have his passing ability, doesn't have his dunking ability. I mean, the list goes on, right? I think it kind of goes without saying, but I'm just addressing it in case, you thought otherwise. All right, Jimmy Webb. What up, Jimmy Webb? I wanna get your statement out there because I think it's important. And ultimately, I'm never trying to dog on anybody. I'm not trying to put anyone down. I don't think the world right now has room for that kind of nonsense. And I really think we should just focus on trying to uplift each other. And as Jimmy pointed out, probably most of us, myself included, and dudes, trust me, I've put in like an insane amount of time improving my game over the years. Not recently, but when I was growing up, dude, I would put in like hours and hours of basketball. And like Jimmy's pointing out, most of us probably haven't put in the work.
Holy shit. This video is 26 minutes long. Alright boys, I think this video is done.